Welcome back to OneStopTutorials.com. Alibaba from sunny Thailand. How you doing, everyone? Great to be here. I've got a question from a guy called Danny, and what he wants to know is how can do some basic flipping images and making images swap, stuff like that. And the way you do that inside of Photoshop is set it up to be some form of animation. Okay, so what we're going to do is get straight into this. We're going to go to File, New, okay, and I'm just going to make a basic document, 300 by 300. It doesn't matter because all I'm doing is actually adding text. What I want to do is I want to choose the text tool, and I just simply want to type some text, One Stop Tutorials. Okay, I'm just going to move that in. There we go. And then I'm just going to type something else like, I don't know, animation, because that's what we're doing. Again, I'm going to move that down, keeping it sort of in line. And there we go. So I've just written 2 bits of text. If I come into my layers palette, you'll notice I've got animation and I've got One Stop Tutorials. Now the way this animation works is, let's say you had 3 pictures or whatever you had, okay, you have to have everything in one document, okay. So if you had 3 separate images, you'd need to drag them into one document, and each individual picture needs to be on its own layer, okay. That's the way this works. I couldn't have animation and One Stop Tutorials on the same layer, because when it comes to animation, it would animate that layer out and you'd be seeing both the text, okay. So make sure everything is on its own individual layer. So this is how you do it. What I want to do is, you want to come up to Windows, and I want to choose Animation, okay. And here's my animation frames. If by some chance yours looks like this, it has these green bars, simply just come down to this box here and left click, and that will bring you into the animation frames. We'll get into the measurement log at a later date, okay, but this is just more of a simple way to do things for the time being. What you have here, you have your frame, and you can notice underneath it says 10 seconds or whatever yours says. You simply choose this arrow, left click on that, and you can adjust the timing of this frame, so how long this frame will last for in these properties. If you wanted to add your own, you just simply click on Other, and that will allow you to type in how many seconds you want this frame to play before it goes on to the next frame, okay. The next arrow underneath says once, and what you have here is, this is, let's say you had 5 frames. This means that it would play those 5 frames once, and then the animation would stop. You can choose to have it 3 times. You could choose to have it forever, so it would just be a constant loop over and over again. Or again, you could come to Other, and you can type in how many times you want this to play, and put it in there, and that was how many times it will loop the whole animation. Okay, so that's the basic stuff. Now what I want to do is, I want to show you how to add a new frame, and you do that by this little icon that looks like Add a New Layer. Okay, simply left click on that, and you'll notice I now have 2 frames. So I've got 2 frames that say One Stop Tutorials. When I select the second frame, you'll notice I've selected it because it's in a blue color. I simply come to my layers palette, I close off One Stop Tutorials, and I open up Animation, and now I have One Stop Tutorials for the first animation, and I have animation for the second frame, okay. Now the problem I have here is that they're both 10 seconds, and I actually want to make them a bit smaller. So all I do is hold down Control or Command on my keyboard, and this will allow me to choose which frames I actually want to choose. So if you had 10 and you held down Control or Command on your keyboard, this will allow you to individually select which ones you want. Once you've selected which ones you want, you can change all those frames one time, okay, just by clicking any one of these arrows. Doesn't matter which one, simply left click on the arrow and then choose the amount of time that you want for all of those frames that you've selected to be. Okay, so in our instance we got 2 seconds for the first, 2 seconds for the second. Now when you've inserted more than one frame, you'll notice you get a little play button. So if I hit the play button, this will go for 2 seconds, animation will go for 2 seconds, and that is it, because it's set to go once. Okay, now what I want to do is I want to add this little effect where it actually fades in. At the moment it's a bit robotic and it's a bit tick tick tick, so we want to have it more smooth. So the way you do this is you select the 2 frames, generally they're next to each other, that you want to add a tween to. Okay, a tween will allow it to have that bit of a motionless, jagged look to it. Okay, so let me show you what I mean. I'm going to select the first frame. In fact, before I do this, actually, on the second frame here, on the animation frame, I'm going to come back into my layers palette. With the animation layer selected, I'm going to bring down the opacity to something like, I don't know, 30%. I'm bringing the opacity down. Okay, Now what I want to do is I want to select both of these layers. Simply want to hold down Control or Command on my keyboard to do that, and then I want to come to this little icon here, which is the tween. I want to simply left click on that, and that will bring up the tween menu, and I can change some settings. Okay, what I want to change is how many frames to add. So how many frames do I want to add in between these two frames here? I want to add 3. Okay, this is all just keeping the position, the opacity and the effect the same as what we have in the frame. Okay, so I'm going to hit OK, and you'll now notice that since we've done that, it's applied extra 3 frames to our animation, and it's going to tween it from the original, which is this full on One Stop Tutorials dark color, to the animation with a little bit of opacity. All it does is it blends in between them, and there we go. Now if I click on the first frame and hold down Shift on my keyboard and click on the last one, it'll allow me to select all the frames, and again I can come in and make these 0.5 seconds, so it's a bit faster. What I want to do now is at the end of the animation, I simply want to click a new animation. Okay, I then want to come back into my layers palette, and on animation I want to move the opacity back up to 100%. Now I want to add a tween between these two, between the beginning of the opacity animation to the full-blown animation. I simply want to hold Control or Command on my keyboard, left click, and I want to add another motion tween, and I want to add another 3 frames, and I'm going to hit OK. So what this is done now, if I play this for you, if I start at the beginning and I press the play button here, watch what happens. One Stop Tutorial blows out, animation comes in. Okay, so you can do this sort of stuff with any stuff really. I mean, you could bring in some graphics and bring some images in. Generally people use this, I mean, if you've seen like hosting banners and stuff, this is generally how they're doing it. A lot of them aren't done in Flash because the actual graphics are so small, you don't want to be getting into Flash and making it all. It's just easy to do it this way. So now you get a general understanding, and you can make this look a lot better than mine. You could add background at certain frames. You can really get fully into this. Okay, what I want to show you now is how do you actually save this out. Well, what you need to do is I'm going to go to File, Save for Web and Devices. Okay, and this will bring up the Save for Web Device dialog box. What I want to do is I want to save this out as a GIF. You cannot save this out as a JPEG. If you save it out as a JPEG, it's going to flatten the image and the actual animation is not going to work. I generally save it as a GIF or a PNG, any one of those formats, and that will allow me to keep my animation. What you've also got in here is colors. So let's say for this instance, we've only got one color really. We can bring the colors down, because we do that to minimize the actual size of our actual graphic. At the moment it's 10K. It will take 3 seconds to load at the speed of 56.6 kilobytes per second. Okay, so you can come in, you can play with these settings, and this will allow you actually to minimize and to bring down the K of the actual graphic. Okay, coming into all these options. Okay, now what you also have here is you can also play the animation. They got a play and pause and stuff like that here, so you can play the animation and it will show you in the Save for Web and Devices how it will look. Okay, so let's say we're happy with that and all is okay. I'm just simply going to hit save, and I'm going to just choose to, I'm going to call this animation. Okay, I'm going to save it as a GIF and I'm going to hit save. So now when I actually come in and choose animation, let's get rid of that one, and double left click on the GIF file, you'll now notice it's kept my animation to exactly how we built it. So that is just a quick overview on how to do this. I hope it's helped you out, Stuart. And yep, you, like I say, you can have backgrounds to flip in at certain times. You can really get into this and make your animations look quite funky. Take it easy, guys and girls. Great to be back. I'll catch you at the next One Stop Tutorials. Please subscribe to my YouTube. Check out my website and my forum, and I shall catch you guys and girls very, very soon. Take it easy, everyone.